Well, happy Sunday, everybody. It's October 16th, 2022. I am so excited about this last episode, Wang. I cannot wait to get open, crack the egg, whatever we got to do, empty out the box on mental toughness. Welcome back, Dr. James Choo. It's been months. But, you know, we just broke the temperature, so the summer was good for so many reasons. It was so hot in here to do them. But then we got to learn and grow where I went back and forth on stages of, okay, I got it down, mental toughness. I got it down. And I really didn't have it down. And I guess it came on timing, the perfect timing and the perfect storm to line this thing up today. I appreciate you coming in on a Sunday morning, Ben. Thanks. I appreciate it. It's awesome. Halloween's coming around. So one of my favorite holidays, probably my most favorite. I think I'm going to be a clown.
Are you this year?
Like a mean clown and ride around the golf cart through the subdivision.
Terrorize kids.
And you're going to be celebrating Halloween with the kids, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. The kids, they're at that age where it's so much fun. They just are in it. Yeah. They love it. Yeah. So
well, if you get a chance, come out to my house. It'll be spooky. All right. So let's get going with the mental toughness episode. I don't know. What are we on? 8, 9, 10? We've had some pretty damn good guests on here that have walked the grounds of the Woodgym, and then Dr. James Choo has brought some serious talent on here to recognize mental toughness. Chewy, man, we've chopped it up so much in the weight room about it and where we are and how it is. So,
but I think one of the things I've noticed was how excited you are about this particular topic, because I think in our off-air conversations, you've had some serious concerns about this upcoming generation and how you are seeing the writing on the wall when it comes to toughness in this generation. So I'm looking forward to this, because this is almost like a shout, a call to action for this up-and-coming group. And you've been at this for so long now. You've probably trained, 3, 4 plus, 5 generations of different people. I mean, if you look at your older athletes, like, the Haslam Senior and all that kind of stuff, or, and all the generations down. So you see so much as far as what generations bring to the table. Right. And so there's a lot of wisdom there, and I'm interested in picking your brain, picking it all apart.
It's information overload, because you could go from Big Jim Haslam, 91, 92 years of age, of how he came up and how he played his sports to.
So think about that. That's almost like he was born in the 30s and we're in 22 right now. How many people, how many generations that brings to your eye?
And then you have the 12-year-olds, the 9-year-olds, some of the kids that come through here all the way. So you have a lot. Yeah. I mean, and it's a scary time. It's a different time. It's definitely different for the business, different for the athlete. We could go on and on about where all that is of, I wouldn't say softer athlete. I just think it's a different athlete. I think it's harder for them, the athletes, let's say the high school athletes growing up, than it was for me, and then you, and then even Ben. I think it's different because there's so much pulling at them. It wasn't, you didn't have cell phones, you didn't have social media, you didn't have all that to keep up with. You didn't have, not even the game part that you see the walk into the locker room, the prep on the field. That's where everybody's highlighting more of what they're actually doing.
So go into that. Talk a little, because you've discussed this with some of you and your pro athletes who are seeing some changes in the game. What do you mean by that prep, the prep show, and why that's such a big deal?
Well, I think we're I think we're in the time of 2022 where average is okay. And if I'm just, good enough and getting by, that's okay. And it wasn't like that with the people on the wall in here. And the Chad Penningtons I had in high school, and the Harrison Smiths I had in high school, and the Todd Heltons, One of my special kids, Thomas Harper from Oklahoma State, that's playing right now. It's a whole different mindset now of how these kids train and want to train. And it's not their fault because they're not being educated. And I think I just had enough the last couple months, and I'm starting to give my peace of mind and the education of what it takes to actually be on the wall and be great. And I was talking to Ben before we got on air. If you want to be great and if you want to be a savage in 2022, it's really not that hard, because there's not a lot of people that want to put in the work to do that. And if you just put in the hard, honest work, it's not sexy, it's just work. It may suck, but you could love the suck. You know, you could embrace the hard, and I love the hard because you know what's on the other side of being great. It's not that hard, and you still find that it's a different era right now.
Are you saying that they're just not motivated, or what? They just don't have a fire in their belly?
You know, Chewy, that's a hard one. It's not, I think everybody feeds off what they're seeing through the electronics, through their phones, through computers, whatever it is. And I think they compare that to everything else, that it has to be real sexy and glamorous. And I was telling Ben, and I think I've been telling you this, if I tried to open up the Woodgym in 2022 at 23 years of age with no name, Patron stands for nothing, no clients, nobody on the wall, no jerseys, no articles, it would be an empty shell. I don't think people would come to it.
Really? Why?
I just don't think it's sexy. It's not flashy. It's too simple. And I had a great conversation 2 weeks ago with Harrison Smith, that's a safety for the Vikings. And it was a Tuesday. And he FaceTimed me. I FaceTimed him back. I was in the middle training a client. And we had a great talk. And we talked. I wanted to talk to him about that. I was taking notes. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm taking notes." I said, "You're a great one. You're a Hall of Famer. You're 7-8-time Pro Bowler. You know, like I want to know what it is." And he's
future
like,
Hall of Famer in the NFL.
He said, "Charlie," said, "I never quit what worked." And he goes, "What I even see in the NFL is when somebody has success for 1 year, they feel like they have to switch up their training in the off season." And I just kept it so simple. And I think that's why you and I worked for so many years from 8th grade on, is you kept it simple with me and I kept it simple. And what I say is I love the Woodgym. Every time I come in, I'm like, I know what I'm getting when I get in here. It never changes.
Yeah.
And everybody wants a change. And that's what he saw, is like, it's really not hard, and it's really that simple. Does that make sense? So when he goes in.
And then think about Harrison. He's the opposite of Instagram.
He even said that he would be a dinosaur.
Opposite. He's an opposite of that type of culture, which is, look at me, flash. I mean, like, people may not know this, but if Harrison is in this gym, he's like a shadow in the corner.
Yeah.
Like, it's quiet, unassuming. You barely even know that he's in the Woodgym.
Right.
I mean, when he starts getting going, everybody's like, "Man, who's that guy?" But I mean, his demeanor is pretty much the opposite of what sells today, right? And what everybody's paying attention, which I think is hilarious, because this guy is doing pretty much nothing that the culture tells you should be doing, because he keeps it very simple, very spare, very sparse, but he's not distracted. I feel like today's world of distraction, he just does the one thing simple over and over and over and over and over again, doesn't stop. And it's the opposite of what the culture wants you to do.
Right. And what we're being sold.
Yeah. As the way. It's not the way.
Right. Right. I mean, embrace. I would say I've never seen more embrace average than I have today in our society.
It's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. They're embracing less than average. look at what the models and all this kind of stuff that, basically they're saying, it's okay for you to be sick,
right,
overweight,
right,
unhealthy.
Right.
So that's celebrating that.
Oh yeah. And
that's less than average.
And if you speak up.
Oh yeah. And then try to shut you down. But I'm sorry. It's the truth. It's not right.
Well, it's not biblical.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, we're supposed to be the best versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
We have one body that Jesus Christ says we leased.
Yeah.
We don't take it with us.
Yeah.
So do the best you can with it.
Exactly right.
And now we talked about it. Yeah.
Again, that was a little off topic, but you have several points about specifically mental toughness.
Yeah, we could talk about, okay, so I've studied some things and it all came up from the dad in here, Joe, with his kid. And
who's here today?
He's here today on a Sunday. He called and said, hey, are you open today? I said, yeah, it was rocked 8:30 to 10 doing a podcast. He goes, can we get in on the turf and we'll keep it quiet? I was like, of course. Anybody, me, I love hungry. I feed off hungry. Yeah. I feed off, and I found that too, Chewy. I feed off what people give me too. Mm. And I felt like I've been in a lull with some people because they weren't giving me much and I wasn't giving back. So I'm like, wait a minute. What is going on? Yeah. And I'm telling you, Chewy, I went to my first high school game in Baylor in Chattanooga. And me, it's like, if kids want me to go, I'll go, but I'm not going to go to high school games. If, they don't care for me to go, I won't go. I've never seen smaller high school athletes than I have in this generation.
This. Yeah.
It's spooky. It is spooky what I'm watching because it's all movement, it's all speed, and they forgot about the weights. I've been labeled the speed guru. Somebody put it on Twitter years ago about speed guru or whatever it was.
Which I think is funny because your first love is twisting iron, getting strong.
Yeah.
That's your first love.
Yeah, competing in powerlifting, Olympic lifting, heavy bodybuilding, understanding.
Speed came later.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because, the foundation or the phases, if anybody's certified, it's strength, power, speed. But in 2022 or in whatever years it's been, give me all the speed.
So nobody is getting under the weights.
No. It's no. And if they do, it's numbers that I don't see, so I don't know. So back in the Harrison Smith days and the Brian White days and the Helton days and the Pennington days, I comboed everything with it. And I knew all their maxes. I knew where their strengths were, where their deficiencies were, so I could put together the right program.
Means and measures.
Means and measures.
Yeah.
And again, we talked about our society. We're not supposed to have means and measures right now.
Is that frowned upon?
Yeah, you can't get on the scale, can't measure body fat. And nobody
to shame you.
Well, and people think shame's a bad thing, but shame could wake you up.
Yeah.
Shame could go, wow, I thought I had this max. I don't have this max. I got to get on it. Can you build me a program with percentages and the right reps to get stronger? Yeah, I can.
It's exposure.
And not too many people want to look in that mirror anymore.
But then what they do want to do is turn on the good lighting, turn on the makeup, the hair. Oh, it's my best self. Instagram. Boom, right there.
Yeah.
Rather than being like, man, I can't lift anything. I can't lift a feather right now. That nobody wants to show that,
This was another point with Harrison that we talked about. And he was like, I understand what the athletes are seeing, but it's not what they're supposed to do in the high school levels. So what he said is like, I had to grind like that in the high school levels. He has a strength coach up with the Vikings, and
to get his base.
You have to get that base to pull upon. So we talked about that. You and I did. When you lift heavy for so many years, your tendons and ligaments understand that. So you don't always have to lift heavy. And Chewy, you and I have lifted for years together.
Yeah.
Years together.
Yeah.
And we could lift the same way. If you're doing dumbbell pullovers with 55s, well, you're like, Charlie, I've seen you do twice that amount. Yeah. Why are you doing that? I don't have to anymore.
Yeah.
And I could pick and choose when I want to do it.
And you're older, too. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the strength coach went to Harrison. He was like, you must have great tendon and ligament strength because your muscle memory kicks right back and you're just as strong. And he was like, I credit it to my high school days of grinding. So you have to do grinding the ironwork, whatever it is, in your high school days. I don't care. I don't care anymore what anybody else says. You have to do that. I'm not saying you abort plyometrics and speed and just abandon an 86 and cancel it out. I'm saying it has to be a combination. But man, oh man, you have to have means and measures and some ratios and some standards and some goals.
And so what you're seeing is that the kids are coming in here with no goals to get better, and they don't want to expose themselves about what they can and can't do.
No, nobody wants to do that anymore. And I, Griff DeLong, the guy that's doing the documentary on us, and usually in here with us, and he would say, Charlie, how many people ask, how do I get on this wall? How do I get my picture or jersey on
this young generation? How many of them ask? That's what Griff's asking?
Yes.
Yeah.
And nobody comes in and goes, I want to run this. I want to jump this. I want to power clean this. I want to snatch this. I want to front squat this.
They don't say anything.
Nothing.
Really?
Nothing. It's like Chad Pennington would say, is like, most of the kids these days think if they walk from one end of the garage door to the other end, they're good. Jeez. They got patroned. Or the kids feel like they're worthy because they see the jerseys on the wall and, well, I'm in here, so I have to be equal to the T. Higgins, to the CJ Procise, to the Leonard Fournette.
So there's a total lack of humility and a total lack of really, I mean, they're just so off.
But they don't know.
Yeah.
In their defense, they don't know. And I've sat some kids down the last couple of weeks and almost like a Barnes and Noble book reading with children in the chair. And they sat down because they were gravitable. They were like, I want to hear what he's saying. And, when I speak, it's passion. I'm like, we've got to get after it again. We have to be savages. It's your time. You could do it. Just don't come through. I'll recommit. Let's recommit. Let's go, Jocko Willick.
But that's such a, you're around this stuff so much more than I am.
I was telling Justin Sims, who was on the show, about mental toughness. I told him yesterday, and I've been telling you, and I've been telling Freddie, who's been on the show, you guys have to take a hold of your kids now. We are in the weakest times and the softest men right now. Yeah. Right now. I've never seen anything like it. It starts, mental toughness starts under your roof.
Explain.
It's not the environment. It's not, I'll have tons of explanations. And I'm so glad I get to study and do walks and mountain bike rides because I'm in it. I'm listening. I want to hear what everybody says. Okay.
You're throwing on podcasts when you ride and all that kind of
Please.
stuff.
It's awesome. Mm-hmm. So motivation and discipline are two different things. And people don't see it that way. Okay. Discipline is doing things you don't want to do and still do it. The days you don't want to get to train and you still do it. Okay. Motivation is like, I'm motivated today. I feel good. And then you have to play by chance if you're going to win, if you're going to be better. It's just throwing up rocks in the air and going, where do they fall? Correct? Now, when we talk about toughness, I studied Bear Bryant when he was at Texas A&M. This is kind of cool. When he was at Texas A&M, he had 100 football players. And he took them all somewhere else and to toughen them up and weed them out, right? Like from wherever College Station was to somewhere else, and took them through this grueling process. Okay. They still went 0-11.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
So after 3 years, they had 7 or 8 players from that team and they started winning. But it wasn't from the 7 or 8 players that were tough. It was the ones that wanted to be there. So toughness is a choice.
Toughness is a choice.
It's a choice. So when somebody goes, I just wasn't tough enough, and we've had some people in here that I just wasn't tough enough. It's not that you weren't tough enough. So the Texas A&M kids that stayed there, the 7 or 8 that stayed there, they didn't have anywhere else to go. So it's just like Officer and Gentleman with Richard Gere.
Oh, they were stuck.
They didn't have a choice. So it wasn't that they were tougher. They had choices. So we've had kids here that went out and tried to do some certain things and different things, and they came back and they're like, man, I wasn't tough enough. No, you could have been tough enough in the right situation. You just know you had choices. Basically fallback plans or whatever it was.
Okay.
Okay. So I see toughness is a choice, and I see that it starts under the household. I see that it's embracing the hard, that you don't have the choices and you know what it looks like after you get through. So most of the time people don't want to do something because it's like, man, it's going to be really hard. This is going to be really tough to do, but they don't know how good they'll feel after. Does that make sense? And it's not up to me. It's not up to me to make your kid tough. My job.
When a parent drops you, their kids off.
Yes.
They're like, hey, make this kid tough.
Right. It's okay. That starts under the household.
Okay.
I didn't become tough from dad dropping me off somewhere. James Choo didn't climb every peak in the world because he was dropped off somewhere at a preschool and they made him tough. That was under your household. Nobody sees that until they see it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So I have tons of notes. So you could go, the Jocko Willink was huge. I listened to that and I was like, I like that. And
what specifically? What were you talking about?
Well, the discipline to motivation. I think people are like, I'm not motivated enough to get up. I get a lot of high school kids that won't come in the morning. They're like, I'm just not motivated. I'm like, it has nothing to do with motivation. It has to do with discipline. Yeah. And I call it the 5 minutes of hard. And they're like, what do you mean by the 5 minutes of hard? I'm like, the 5 minutes of hard of waking up and hitting that alarm and getting up, it's hard for about 5 to 7 minutes. Your stomach's upset. It hurts. My age, everything cracks and criddles. After that, I feel like a champ. You tell me when somebody's finished their workout in the morning, they take their shower in the Woodgym, they come out, they have what we call a gym glow.
Yeah.
Their face looks different. Their attitude's much better. There's nothing in the world that could take that over. And it's not cigarettes. It's nothing. And
you feel good.
Well, and if you think about it, you know, I had 3 kids in this morning. We're on a Sunday morning at 8:30. I had 3 high school kids.
It's awesome.
Okay.
Great.
The 3 high school kids, everyone traveled at least an hour and a half to get here.
So they're leaving their house at 6 o'clock in the morning.
On a Sunday.
To get here.
After the big, huge UT Alabama win.
Yeah. I was doing jiu-jitsu this morning at 6.
Well, I mean, that's why you are on the wall.
Well, I mean,
you have more pictures on the wall than anybody.
No. I'm just saying that's I love that about those guys.
Yeah.
They can be leaders.
You'd pick them right there.
Yeah.
If Jimmy Haslam was in here, it'd be like pilot CEO. Yes, that person.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, they're getting after it.
Yeah.
But they want to. It's the will of the want. See what I'm saying? Like, they drive here.
Yeah.
They have to make, I wouldn't say the cut, but it's, we have to make sure we have our bond and our mission. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like where we are. All right. So I got, it's, I'm going to do the 6 things that mentally strong people do.
Go for it.
Okay. Since I'm the guest and he's the host, I like that. He's interviewing me. I like it. They move on.
This is number 1.
Number 1. They move on. They don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves.
That's number 1.
Number 1. And after these, you could pick them apart.
Okay.
Number 2. They embrace change. They welcome challenges. Number 3. They stay happy. They don't waste energy on things they can't control.
Yeah.
Number 4, they are kind, fair, and unafraid to speak up. Number 5, they are willing to take calculated risks. And number 6, they celebrate other people's success. They don't resent that success.
This is the 6 traits of what you observe as mentally tough people. For the 6, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Harrison Smith.
Okay.
Again, when we talk, it's like talking to your son. We're so close, and we're so, and we've had our knockdown, drag out fights also. I mean, we've had some serious battles go on, right? But all my great ones we usually do. If you watch Harrison Smith play and you watch him get a pick 6 for people watching or listening, pick 6, interception, run back for a touchdown. When you watch him, he basically just runs off the field or trots off the field. When some
With this, so if he gets a pick six,
If Harrison Smith gets a
Okay.
pick six,
Okay.
okay,
he just get no big deal, walks off the field. Okay.
when someone else on his team, a teammate, does the same thing, you think he just had the pick six of the celebration he had.
So super happy for his teammates.
Yeah. I think that watch the NFL today. It's Sunday. The Vikings play the Dolphins. Okay. You could watch any game and you tell me how he reacts to the other people.
They say Barry Sanders was kind of like that.
Walter Payton.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, it's a dying, it's not there, right? Here's some other things that came to mind for me because we talked about a balanced lifestyle and we've talked about moderation and we talked about all that. But when you study the greats, the Kobes, which I'm a huge fan of, they're obsessed. And I was even telling Griffin, I was telling Ashley, my oldest, Cam Miller, the guy in here that's just getting after it and been doing so many different things and finding his way. If you're not obsessed, you won't be great. And the balanced life is usually the guy that's just living the life, but it's not on fire. Now, when you want to be obsessed, there's some things that come to it that you won't like.
And the sacrifices that happen, right?
So I go, never apologize for being obsessed. Stay in the gym for 3 hours. Pull an all-nighter for your business. Read your new book the entire day. Positive obsession is a gift, not a behavior to be suppressed. And
So
that's what we're missing.
this is basically what you're saying. Well, the balanced, everything balanced without having the obsessed focus is what is being elevated as good. Got to be balanced. Oh, don't do too much of one thing. Don't put all of your eggs into one basket. Don't be hyper focused. That's what's celebrated today.
Have a plan B.
Have plan B.
Have something to fall back on.
Versus like, you got no damn choice. Let's go after this. It's fall off the cliff if you don't get this going.
When I run into people, when I rarely get out, which I don't like getting out much, if people don't know what I've been doing, they'll usually ask, "Hey, you still training people?" And I'm like, "I know nothing else." If you people haven't watched Officer and a Gentleman with Richard Gere and Louis Gossett Jr., and he's trying to get him out of the Naval Academy, and he's spraying him with water, and he has a rifle over his head, running in place, and Louis Gossett Jr. is like, "Mayonnaise," his last name was Mayo. He's like, "Mayonnaise, just quit. You'll get a hot meal, severance pay, a flight home. Just quit. Why aren't you quitting?" And he stood there and was crying, and he goes, "I have nowhere else to go." Bear Bryant. I have nowhere else to go. So it really is the Tony Robbins thing. Burn the boat, take the island. If you really are all blue chips in and it's all or nothing, it'll usually, that's why those shirts I had, 20 years ago, all in or all out. And that's what I'm trying to recreate here in the Woodgym.
Yeah. So,
and it's not for everybody. Like you said, Wayne, you said you probably have more people that didn't get on the wall than are on the wall. Because if you look at the wall,
it looks
you go,
like it's a lie. Everybody.
"Oh
It's
my
not.
gosh."
These are, you might have a dozen on here or maybe even more, but like how many people, for each one, how many people fell off? How many baseballers were here before you have a McHenry on there? How many? Hundreds before McHenry rises to the top and makes it on the wall?
Chewy, I've sent you and we've shared information that I've gotten over the last couple months, maybe the year, maybe 2 years. I'm going to take a break from training right now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm too busy.
You don't want it bad enough. I mean, you look at these three studs that are coming here at 6 a.m. in the morning. Cofield. I mean, where's Cofield? It's far away.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's like Morgan County.
Yeah.
Nothing in Morgan County. Driving over here. Are they making excuses? I don't think so.
And 2 out of the 3 are girls.
I love that.
Are girls.
Yeah.
That will be
savages.
They're
already savages.
Awesome moms, awesome wives. I mean, it all works. It all works that way. So you had to educate when you get the parents or the kids. Now, it's high school kids that will text me, Charlie Patron. Hey, I'm going to take time off. I'm in season, just too much right now. I might make it back in the off season. I might not. I've not seen texts like that since I've been in the business. And
really?
It's the last couple years.
Wow. You've never seen that before?
Never. Now.
Usually, what is usually the text? When can I get in?
Usually the Patron people that stick, it's a voicemail or a text or the human conversation I have of like, thank you so much. I know you're very selective in your process of taking athletes. We are honored and privileged to get in there. Wow. And that's not about me. That's about the people that they know that are in here that are succeeding.
Yeah.
From Friday to Saturday to Sunday on the weekends. So it's the will, the want. I've trained the busiest people in the world, CEOs.
Literally flying their private jets here so they can get a workout in and then leave. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or on a Friday afternoon.
They're not making excuses.
If they're here for work and they've worked all day on a Friday afternoon at 5 when we've scheduled something, my clients could go to the airport and get on their jet or, man, I can't wait to go get that workout at the Woodgym, then get on my jet.
Yeah. And it's not, and what you're not saying is like, look at me, Charlie Patron, with all these people. It's just the attitude of the individuals that have succeeded it doesn't sound like they make too many excuses. They'll do what it takes to get it done, whether it's drive an hour and a half from the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, or, when they've leveled up, they've, are flying their jets in from wherever big city destination to get over here. There's no excuse. They're going to get it done. And they want to get it done. They have a burning fire to get it done. All of those things, and they're focused, and they maybe are a little quote unquote unbalanced, but they're getting after it and they want it. And that's the thing, is that what you're not hearing about is this next generation focused, fire in their belly, trying to get in here, want the next level, appreciative, all of those things, right?
Yeah. And you could go back to, okay, was this kid born with a silver spoon or is this kid tough? You don't know the difference, but you do know the difference. Freddie, the guy we had in here, the bike guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Our champion guy I've had for as long as you.
Yeah.
He's been on the podcast twice.
Yeah.
He turned to me about 3 weeks ago and he goes, man, because he's coaching a soccer team. And he goes, I really like that kid. And wow. Usually when I like the kid, I like the parents. And I'm like, Freddie, that's all book in the Ephesians in the Bible. The apple in the tree, it doesn't fall far from. So I think it starts with the parents, because I also get the parents texting, hey, Johnny's going to take off. It's, too much. He's about to start something else in season with another sport, da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, you're not even sitting down and going, what do you want to do? Or what I used to get a lot, Ben and Dr. James Choo, is the parents or the kid or the athlete would text me and go, what do you think I should do?
Oh, asking you.
Yes.
What does that signify when they look to you for that answer? And especially versus someone who comes in here with all the answers.
Oh, well.
What does that signify to you?
You never want to be the smartest person in the room, for sure.
No.
Right? So, no. The ones that are hungry, the ones that are inquisitive, asking, always, of course they rise to the top. The ones that have all the answers are usually the paper champions. And, it's like, why are you even here? So you got to sit them down and try to educate them. Mm-hmm. But it's still the same. it still comes, it comes from under the household. I'm telling you, if the dad or the mom is usually soft, the kid's going to be soft. If it's, I mean, if not too many people got to meet Mike Petrone, but if you met Mike Petrone and my father, who's dead, and then you'd get it. I mean, even my girls, you're starting to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, man, they're nuts. They're crazy. And everybody, all my older people are like, well, look at you. And I'm like, fair enough. Let's go. let's all be that way and get after it. But that's what you're finding. I would tell you this, you know, and again, with the circumstance and your environment, you'll love this one, Chewy. When Jocko was asked Willick, you know, how do you make it, you know, how is it to make a Navy SEAL team? And you always think it's a tough guy making a Navy SEAL team or whatever. And he goes, you can't really put your finger on that. He goes, what you can do, you know, I didn't know Jocko Willick surfed his whole life.
Oh,
so
pretty cool.
Yeah. So guess what he was comfortable in?
Cold water.
Yeah. Cold water.
Yeah.
Right. So he was in the cold water. And he said, usually if the high school person has a background in swimming or something like that, they have an advantage of making the Navy SEALs compared to somebody that doesn't, that is super tough, but that's uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool of like, what were you brought up in to make it like that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's why, you know, I gravitated towards Radomir and Louis Simmons, both, God rest their souls. I wasn't going there and living with them and studying with them to be like them. I was one of them because of how I was raised in a garage with a dirt floor.
You were just gravitated. You recognized something in them.
Right.
And they were like, I get that. And I want to be around that.
Yes.
Yeah, they may have a different knowledge base, except, you know, older mentors, but you guys clicked because you were the same type of people.
And my people that clicked, the Todd Heltons, the Penningtons, and the Harrison Smiths. And I always say that, but Pennington and I would find grass fields, a park on a Saturday when I go down and train them in Miami or New York. And I remember having them toss a medicine ball over the backstop of a softball field for power.
Wow.
You know, and we
simple.
I had yard marker. I brought my measuring tape. We measured everything and we went to work. And Harrison never leaves this because it's like, it's all I need.
So I think it's really great that you've called out a generation, because I think you're calling out because you're really concerned about this next generation in ways I've never heard before. And so I think you've identified the general attitudes that are bad and unmotivated, just kind of scattered, pulled away in different parts of their tensions in several different places. You know, that maybe it's a lot of it's coming from the parents' attitudes. So if you were a concerned parent and you're worried about this generation, what's your advice to the parents at this point in time?
Teach them life skills. I don't think it's all about education. I don't think it's all about a GPA. I don't think it's all about straight A's, because we are in some hard times. And if you can't recognize that and see that, then shame on you. And you make your kids hard. You tell me the last time you've heard the word chores with high school kids.
So you're talking about just these kids need to show them that they need to do for themselves.
Figure it out. Face adversity with resilience. One foot in front of the other. And it's a journey. And you're going to lose some and win some. And embrace the L's. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's the problem right now, is nobody wants it exposed. Nobody.
So get them more involved in their life duties and chores.
It'll carry over.
The responsibilities. What else?
I think it's easier now to be great than ever before. And real greatness, it really is. And I don't
explain that.
Greatness, it could be in anything. It could be you've got to seize the day, so my greatness wouldn't be sleeping in. I think we let our kids sleep in so much. My kids were never like that because they always saw dad getting up at 4:37. I was always up. I'm always up. I'm always going to seize the day. And I do think don't take anything for granted and don't want everything too early. And I think that's the biggest thing is everybody looks. I have high school kids that compare themselves to NFL athletes.
Yeah.
And I really, really do. It's mind boggling. And it's like, stay in the now, stay in the moment.
Yeah. Don't worry about that.
And that more than anybody. Yeah. And you just asked, and I'm going to say it, set goals, have timelines, have a calendar,
realistic goals, timeline to get there.
Not whenever it happens.
A plan to get to those goals. Right?
Now things flow. I understand a flow state. I understand levels of circumstances. We didn't force this. This came in October. We didn't go right after we had your two jiu-jitsu pros, your elite guys. We didn't go, okay, we wrapped it up. And that was in May.
Yeah.
Now that's a flow. Look at all the time and research I got to do. That's a flow. Yeah. But you just can't sit on the couch and go, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, that's total bullshit.
I mean, and what I see is, do you really have an injury or are you hurt? What is it? Because a lot of the kids aren't coming in because I'm hurt, I'm this. And you know why you're hurt? You don't train. Do more.
Well, actually come in and work around that injury.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike McHenry.
You do that. I mean, okay, I got this bum knee. Well, it's not like you work out everybody else. You got, another knee and two arms and you can get after something.
You can figure it out.
Yeah.
It's the will to want.
Yeah.
And that's where it all states is like, where do you want to be? I mean, because when you have the talent, all you got to do is put work with it. But if you just work and you don't have the talent, that's going to be a struggle. But if you have the perfect combination, like a lot of the guys on the wall, you just educate them on work. And then once in the high school kids' defense, where I see it is they don't see the phase. Once they see, I bumped up 10 pounds on this. Oh my gosh, I put some work in and it's paying off.
Yeah. They're seeing it.
Right. Right. Instead of like, I can't do it.
Do you think it's because they haven't seen that realistic hard work in the beginnings of their lives where, they had chores and things like that and then they could get to some place because they've got tangible things that have improved in their life that they've done themselves. Those are things that their parents aren't providing for those kids, but those opportunities to see that.
Well, sure. I mean, a lot of these kids give me rides home sometimes. Sometimes I come in with older guys that pick me up and need ride. When you get in their cars, you can tell right off the bat where they are.
What do you mean?
If it's messy.
Oh.
If they got to move the whole passenger seat out for me to sit in it, then you're not doing your due diligence of taking care of something that was either given to you.
Ah. Okay.
Or you worked for it, and shame on you if you worked for it and you take it that way. But most of the time, if you work to buy your car, your car will look
good. Yeah.
And it's the same thing here. If you put the time, imagine if these kids paid for training.
Shoo-wee.
And they understood. That's why I even tell them, like, you know how hard your parents work to come in here. And like Chad Pennington gives these kids the lectures, it's a privilege. This is a privilege to come in and get better. So why don't you get better?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, and I hope, Chewy, I hope we got to the bottom of some things on mental toughness. I mean, those are my 6 points.
Yeah.
That's totally different than the new generation kids or the college kids or whatever it is. But I hope I got to my points of what I thought it would be.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I guess I would challenge you, since you like the challenge, is I think, though so much of this is nurtured at an early age, some of the kids' attitudes, but I still think that the one consistent thing I've seen in all the years I've been in and around the Woodgym, before the Woodgym, Gold's Gym, is that people look to you for guidance on how to get to that next level. It's always been that way. And so, they're looking to you for advice, mentorship, leadership. This is a new challenge for you and how you address, well, these kids don't want means and measures. They don't want to do these things. You have always been good at calling people out since I've known you, been around you, right? And So the challenge, I would say, is that this is a new leadership opportunity.
Sure.
To change that conversation, to shake it up, and call it out, point it out in order to set these youngsters in a better direction. Now, they, like always, they don't always, land where they need to or should or could, but it's time for the Woodgym to say, hey,
let's flex our muscles and
let's
get back
go.
on it. You're right.
Yeah.
Because they don't see it like Griffin DeLong, who was in here in 2012, 14. He was like, I saw 14 people like Harrison Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So the high school kids don't see that, whether it's in season, out of season, or whatever. They don't see, they're not going, wow. And if they are, some of them don't even care.
Mm.
Oh, that's Harrison Smith. All right, man. If I had a Harrison Smith and I was in high school and I would go, I want to do everything he's doing.
Exactly right.
I want to get on. Tell me I'm in here.
You know what? He's doing everything that you're not, which is so simple. Right? We just talked about it.
I mean, but even your day, Chewy. I mean, when it's Sunday, you have a family.
Yeah.
Huge family at home, and you sacrificed.
Yeah.
I mean, there has to be hurt and pain to get better, and I think that's what people don't want.
They're avoiding that hurt and pain.
Yes.
So, last thing before we got to go, I want you to please read that 6 points again.
I like them. Okay. 6 things mentally strong people do. They move on. They don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. Number 2, they embrace change. They welcome challenges. Number 3, they stay happy. They don't waste energy on things they can't control. And I find that is a huge one with anybody I'm around. Everybody wants, and control's an illusion. You can only control what you can control. You can't control even what somebody puts out to you. The only thing you can control, and it's biblical, is how you react to it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's number 3. They are kind, fair, and unafraid to speak up. Number 5, they're willing to take calculated risks. I love that one.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, they celebrate other people's success. They don't resent that success. Wow.
So, and I think,
and I've learned that through over periods.
Yeah, in periods of time. And I would say, look, you probably, this generation, the next generation, the previous generations, those types of concepts that you've talked about, the 6 concepts, I think it will carry on generation to generation. So if you are young man, young woman listening to this and you got a fire in your belly, I mean, listen to that. That has nothing to do with what your influencer is telling you or what the next person thinks about your posts or whatever it is that's pulling your attention away. It's almost like you said, it's the easiest time to be great because no one wants to be great. It doesn't sound like to me. So if you want to be great, now's the time because all you have to do is the simple things. Shut it all down and get after your goal. Listen to something like what you're saying. And the world, we've talked about this, the world is your oyster. You could seize it and grab it because nobody else wants it. So why, but the one thing I would add to that is that getting up in the morning, getting after these things, coming in here, doing those hard things, you and I have said it, it feels good. It feels better than sitting around looking at your phone, right? It feels good to be tired at the end of the day after you've given it your all. It feels good to be excited about getting up in the morning to get after something that you want to get. I don't know any better feeling.
Regret or reward.
Yeah. And so you never regret getting up and getting after it.
You regret it when you don't.
When you don't, you feel like, dang God, but you don't get that time back.
And I get that sometimes, because the mind, remember, your thoughts control who you are. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts control your space. So what you allow in your head is what you're going to do. Yeah. And there's been times where 5 o'clock comes, 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Do I go mountain bike? Do I not? Do I? And the times I talk myself out of it,
it's bad.
I hate myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know even going there, everybody's like, oh, you love mountain biking. I'm like, I love the after effect.
Yeah. Yes.
But driving there, getting your gear on,
Yeah.
going up the first 15 to 17 minutes. I always look at my watch and go, when am I going to get over this hump of Chewy on my back?
I'm sorry, but you're not a natural mountain biker.
No.
With your size and everything like that. So
No.
you're doing hard. That's hard.
That's 230 some pounds of hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but it's.
Yeah, it sets your mind right. So youngsters, man, you know, there are a lot of lies out there. You're being lied to. I think you're being lied to about what is the good life. And it's not. It's the opposite of what they want you to believe, because everybody wants your attention. Everybody's going for, so they show you all this stuff to grab more and more of it. Shut it down and get after. You be your own guide. You go after there and get it. You go after there and want it, and then they'll be watching you. I mean, so who cares?
And
about
let somebody else make your highlight reel.
Yeah.
You know, don't make your highlight reel.
Don't make your own.
I mean, it's been 33 years and finally somebody wants to come do a documentary on me. Great.
Yeah.
That's 33 years.
Yeah.
Make,
ups and downs, hard stuff. You name it, you know.
And if you're good enough, they'll tell you. Mike Patron quote. I'm like, Dad, why don't you ever brag on me of anything I'm doing? He goes, why would I?
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
His words of wisdom were amazing just for that. I was like, man, that's a good point. And then when you have everybody, it's like, do you think Dr. Steve Smith ever bragged on Harrison?
No.
You know how many times I saw Dr. Steve Smith in Harrison's high school training career with me?
Never.
Once.
Once?
One time. His dad drove his motorcycle in. When Harrison saw him here, Harrison sat on the couch and said, I'm not training until you leave. And at that point, Dr. Smith said, he's all yours.
Parents, kids, listen close.
It's not that hard. Thanks, Chewy. Man, thank you so much, Sunday, coming in. I think, if anything else you want to say, but.
Oh, there's nothing else. I love listening to this and your thoughts. And I think it's really important for me, raising kids, to think about these things. Because I don't want them to be.
But it's the same thing, Ben. Like when they see Chewy on the platform pulling that weight, they're like, who's that? I'm like, oh, Dr. James Chew. And they're like, oh, what does he do? I'm like, well, go look on the wall. You know, he's climbed all these peaks. It's like, okay, cool. Like nobody's in awe of what somebody's done to go, I want to pick your brain. You know, how do you survive an Antarctica trip pulling a sled? How do you survive in a tent for a week waiting for the winds to calm down so you could make your descent? What emotions go through your head knowing that I could die descending off this more than climbing it? And look at
Man,
Chewy.
That sounds scary.
It does sound scary
when you put it that way.
But Chewy was the guy that, you know, we put water jugs of backpacks and he climbed stairs and then went back up and down in his condo on Knoxville.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
14 stories.
People thought I was a lunatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, look at what he has to pass on to your kids and even what you're talking about now.
Yeah. Well, thank you. But, Charlie, I appreciate you pointing these things out. And, because I got kids and it worries me, you know, to think about that. This is the environment that is celebrated. And you know,
let's make everybody be the best version they could be.
Yeah.
And not, I wouldn't compare myself to anybody, but that's the problem with social media. You can, but like Chad said, when he did the interview for the documentary, we didn't know where it was going.
No.
We just trained.
Flying blind.
We just trained.
Yeah.
Overtrained.
Yeah.
All right. I love you guys. Thanks for coming in on Sunday. Hey guys, just get after it. Do the 5 minutes of hard first. After that, it's easy. Thanks, Chewy.
Thank you.